So I'm from Massachusetts originally, but I've been in New York City for, I guess, like 7 years now. I moved here for my undergraduate. So I studied for 4 years, and then I've been here outside of school for the past like 3 or so. My fitness expertise is relatively new. So I earned my like whatever a certification during the like COVID pandemic. So I've been officially certified since late December. I've been studying for the certification since like March or so. And I mean, I've been working out consistently, I think since like the beginning of college. I wasn't like a big athlete growing up. I like played some sports. But I got into like a consistent workout routine in college because I studied musical theater. We danced every day. I supplemented that with the gym. You know, that's when I started to actually really like it. And then I started working at a gym my senior year of college, one of those like boutique sort of studios with like bikes and bar classes. And I was hoping to be an instructor there. I actually had an audition that got canceled the day before it was supposed to happen. And now the gym has gone under. So that won't be happening for me. So that's kind of why I went out on this other sort of route. And I was like, okay, well, if I'm not going to be a boutique fitness instructor, I'll just get the certification so I have a bit more autonomy. So I'm not teaching anywhere currently. In New York, there really aren't that many options to teach, if we're being honest. There's no group fitness here. There is in other parts of the states, just not in this city specifically. And people, I mean, there's personal trainers training at gyms. I haven't thrown myself into that pool yet because of this bionic arm situation. So I'm hoping to be applying to places which hopefully will be hiring as this COVID situation starts to sort of taper out starting in March or so. I do have 2 clients of my own though. So I train a couple people like via Zoom right now, as I'm like getting my sort of foot in the door. I mean, I think there was definitely a moment when I was working in my old gym that I was just taking these classes all the time and realizing that I actually was becoming like pretty competent. I'm not sure if there was like a specific day where I was like, aha. I think one of the instructors actually was like, when are you applying? And I was like, oh, why do you choose? You know, she's like one of those people that people view as like godly, which is probably problematic, but everyone sort of idolized her as like this like pinnacle bar instructor sort of figure. And I was like, apply what? I was like, there's no way. And she was like, you could literally do this, it's not actually that hard. So at that point I started sort of shifting gears into taking the classes to train for the audition. And then when that didn't really work out because of this sitch, about like a week into quarantine, I'm a person who gets very restless, and I'm a person who lost all their jobs because of the COVID pandemic. I think I'm an actor, so none of that was happening. So everything really came to sort of a halting standstill for me in March. Like it was just like no auditions, no master classes, no gyms, nothing. So I was like, well, I have to fill my time. So let me pursue this kind of lofty goal of like getting the certification that in my day-to-day life would be a huge inconvenience. But now because I literally am living at my mom's house and have nothing to do, it would be great to study something for 4 hours a day. And then I did move back to New York during the pandemic, and I started working again in some respect, and I continued to study. But yeah, that's really what that's when I started to research the programs, and it only took like a week for me to find something and just like feel like this is it now. I mean, as a person who's like been a member of the industry in like, some respect. I mean, I like the community. I still like the community, even though the community is online. I'm really grateful for the community. I love the community in the gym as well. We had regular clients. There were instructors I really vibed with. Everyone, a lot of fitness instructors in New York are also artists. So it's a community of fitness instructors. It's also a lot of the times actors or dancers or whatever. I've gotten acting gigs because of my job at the gym. So the community of it is fabulous. Just a lot of like-minded people. Recently, I've kind of really fallen in love with like the commitment to sort of just like progress. I was really excited by the training I did. They really emphasize like progressing programs through like a sort of a certain continuum. And it really changed my sort of mindset from like, oh, go as hard as you can all the time, sweat, etc., to like start here because eventually we'll get here. I like got my push-ups during quarantine. Like my push-ups have been so embarrassing for years. And I like finally actually had like 4 real ones. I will not have them anymore when this sling comes off. I'll have to start at the beginning, but I'm kind of excited by the idea of starting at the beginning. Like I would have been so devastated just 6 months ago with this arm situation. Cause I'd be like, I'd lose all my progress, but now I'm like, I get to make progress. So I like that sort of approach. And then let me think of a third thing. I mean, then I like working out. I mean, like that's so basic, but like it's, you know, people have different things that like make them happy. I love having a consistent workout routine. I'm really looking forward to getting back into my workout routine, you know. Just like I like going for walks. I liked playing tennis until it destroyed me. You know, I like going to workout classes with like friends. It's just like a fun thing to do. I mean, here, I guess outside of the COVID pandemic, like if just generally, I mean, it's still a freelance gig. A lot of the times it's still like a part-time gig a lot of the time. So financially, I think it can still be really difficult for people. You have to net clients, you have to have loyalty. People stop working out for really arbitrary reasons that you can't control, like injuries, like work, like moving, like they just don't want to do it anymore. So I definitely know a lot of just who financially have like a lot of plates spinning or have multiple jobs. They're still waiting tables. And then that would feed into, I think the other thing is just like having energy for it all. Because I think people put some trainers on like a pedestal, like you're going to look a certain way all the time. You're going to act a certain way all the time. You're going to be, and it's like, no, like people have menstrual cycles, people get sick, people have reasons why their energy might dip. And so to have a job where you have to continue to exist on a certain plane when it might not actually be good for your body, even though you're teaching other people how to be good to their bodies, that's kind of a difficult dichotomy to navigate. That's a good question. Since I wasn't really established as a trainer before the COVID-19 pandemic, I'll be entering this industry post-COVID. So I mean, I'm adjusting my mindset as to what entering this industry will be. When I thought I was entering this industry, I was like, I'm going to enter this industry as a group fitness instructor. That's what the actors do. That's what I want to do. Because group fitness, like literally almost hasn't been around for a year now. Like New York just won't bring it back. So it's online, which is great. For people who had a following before the COVID pandemic, for people who had taught in person, for those of us entering, trying to establish ourselves online will be very difficult. So I'm definitely thinking more about being a personal trainer because you can do that safely. You can meet somebody outside one-on-one in person. And that wasn't really something I considered, that I'd be like a one-on-one trainer like that. I really was more interested in group fitness, but I've really become really interested in personal training. And also, I guess, thinking about like classes, it's like I used to think about what studios I'd apply to teach at. Now I'm like trying to format a group class. Like in my head, I could teach on Zoom for like donations or whatever, just for fun. So that's interesting. I didn't think that like that's how I always thought I train in somebody else's format, not invent my own. So I think there's definitely a lot more autonomy. It's like, oh, okay, I'm going to be like an LLC or something. Like I'm going to have to start my own business and come up with my own ideas. I can't necessarily subscribe to another business's ideas because those businesses either aren't open or they aren't hiring right now. I mean, I think the online fitness industry is just taking off. I mean, that's like just super obvious. Like with what's happened with like, I don't know, I like how closely you follow these things, but like what's happened with like Peloton, or like I had considered buying stock in Peloton and then was like, oh wait. And now it's like over $150. It was like 30 at the beginning of the pandemic. So, and there's new online platforms as well, or places that taught in person have basically entirely moved online. And once you have that set up and you've invested in the lights and the sound, you're not just going to get rid of it all. Like you have it now. It's a resource for you. And it already was moving online before the pandemic. Like Apple Fitness just came out. So this online shit is like super here to stay. Which actually has changed my own workout routine a lot. Like I have a stationary bike now. I don't have a gym membership because it just doesn't seem worth it to me in the pandemic to have to deal with all the hoops. So like I'm pretty content working out at home, I realized, and I think a lot of other people will be as well. So I think personal trainers will have to adjust to training people for at-home workouts, because I think once you get rid of that commute to the gym, you're like, oh, I don't want to do that ever again. Like, why would I ever commute 30 minutes each way? The group training specifically, you have less instructors. Like Peloton has like 15 cycling instructors, but they have 1,000 times the output because they don't run a studio. They don't rent space. I mean, they do rent space, but not nearly as many spaces as other studios do. They don't have to deal with, people can take classes whenever they want. So but because, you know, they only hire like the A-list sort of trainers, like the people with a ton of experience, because they just don't need that many people on stuff. So it'll be a super sort of interesting thing to have to navigate.
Yeah.
For people trying to join the industry. It's like it's shifting a little bit, but that's what happened. So yeah, I'm in the United States, or like New York City and Manhattan specifically. I like live in the Heights. And I mean, I think this is probably similar globally, but like obviously like the US is like capitalism, and like fitness is like no exception to that. So, I mean, and like, I really do think this is probably outside of the US as well, but like with boutique fitness, with gyms like Equinox, I mean, a gym membership here in the city specifically costs more than it does in other parts of the US just because it's New York. So you can be paying $250 a month to work out at Equinox.
Wow.
And the way they get you to pay that kind of thing is through specific marketing schemes that fitness obviously becomes sort of a victim to. So, I mean, like, it's like the classic, like, you know, is marketing everything is something you need because you're less than, or whatever. Like, oh, you need this cycling studio because you'll look like this person and you'll have this life, or like whatever the fuck. And people really pay out. I mean, my cycling studio is like $39 a class. So it's pretty pricey, but yeah. So I guess, and then there's, you know, this go, go, go attitude, obviously, and like getting 5 to 7 days in a week in the States is like super common. I had 4 jobs maybe before the COVID pandemic. So having multiple jobs is super common. Still not getting overtime, still not getting sick leave, still not getting vacation time because you work all of them part-time. So that sort of like hustle definitely translates into the fitness industry. That's like, you can work out at 5 a.m., you can work out at 7 p.m., you will find a way to fit it into your schedule because that's what we do. We don't stop. You just go, 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 because you're not a good person unless you're like supremely busy. I think the COVID pandemic is changing that. I think people are like, hold on a second, I can work from home.
Yeah.
This changes everything. But yeah, so I think that go, go, go hustle sort of attitude in the States definitely affects the fitness industry a lot. I mean, I would say personally, I'm not like a huge fan of like training for aesthetics. I think that takes a lot of pressure off the trainer and the client. When you come from like the boutique world, it's all about aesthetics. Like the bar classes I was taking, like tone your glute line, tone your midsection, whatever. Yeah. But I really think what's going to keep people coming, and this is what ACE says, like, this isn't even like my advice. Like, what's going to get people coming back is like actual like changes in behavior, changes in like technique and ability. But I also think it'll take a lot of pressure off of the trainer themselves. Cause I think in like the Instagram world of fitness, there's like a lot of selling your program as your body or whatever. And for me, I don't know, that wouldn't work. It's like bodies change. I'm injured. I'm going to lose muscle mass. Like if I was holding myself to that standard of I'm going to look like this Instagram thing, I'd be freaking out. So I think my biggest advice to trainers would be like, don't sell your body as your program, because your clients aren't going to get your body because you're your DNA. And that's not going to be hard on your clients. It's going to be hard on you. It won't allow your body to change. It won't allow their bodies to change. Like, it just seems horrid. But every time I open up my Instagram Explore page, it's 10,000 pictures of people's torsos. Nice. So it's hard to get away from, but that's how I'm trying to market myself. So I can just like not fall into that trap of feeling like I have to be a certain thing to be in this career, because it's about skill building. It's not about your physique, I hope. Yeah. I just love seeing progression. Like, and it's actually been really fun with like my 2 clients or whatever, but like my mother, for instance, one of my clients, not easy on me though, I will say. She, she's like, 60 years old. So she has, progressed her side plank from her knees now up to like a staggered stance with her feet. And she's like so proud of herself. And I'm so proud of her because that's really exciting.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing for a body to do, especially a body that's carried, 3 children and has to sit 12 hours a day for work.
Yeah.
So progressions, so like I like seeing my own progressions. It's always exciting to be like, hey, I'm lifting more weight today, or I'm doing this better. But it's more exciting almost to see them on other people because you don't have to feel what they're feeling.
Yeah.
Like you just get to sort of watch it objectively. It's like,
absolutely.
So you sort of get to check in with them at like the fun checkpoints. So yeah, I'm really enjoying that aspect of it. Like creating these situations where hopefully the clients will be successful is like really gratifying. It's like giving a really nice gift. Her name is like Lauren Lavelle and her Instagram is like Lauren Lavelle Fitness. She has no idea who I am. She doesn't even have that many followers. Or maybe she does. I don't know. I could check. But she is a health at every size, like body neutral influencer who teaches barre classes specifically, which I think is really cool because barre tends to fall into this trap of like training to look a certain way. And she herself markets herself as somebody who doesn't look like a typical barre trainer. And I've listened to her on some podcasts and stuff like that. And I just like her outlook has been like really, really cool. And has really helped me like reconsider some of the ways I was thinking about fitness that like weren't super healthy or not super productive. So yeah, she has no idea who I am, but I'm a huge fan and I like keep up with all of her shit on Instagram. And I've like listened to her on like 2 different podcasts, just talking about like everything from like fitness trackers to like group fitness and stuff like that. So I appreciate the work she's doing, sort of dispelling some of the toxicity in this industry. It'll be something like progress over everything or something like that. I haven't totally figured out exactly, like I know what the essence of my motto is, but I don't have like a tagline. But it'll just be like what I've already talked about. Like, it'll just be like, becoming the best version of you, or like, we're building strength. We're not like, we're not sculpting bodies. So I can think of that more succinctly and send it to you, but it'll be something of that essence that we're training like form over physique or something like that.